Greetings, my friends. Greetings to all of you, regardless of where you are, regardless of when you are going to watch or listen to this presentation. As you can see, this presentation is going to be devoted to Neurographica and everything you need to know about the method. This presentation just had to be updated, since the previous presentation is already 4 years old. A lot of things have changed, and even that truly comprehensive presentation is now rather outdated. We've made massive progress. We've launched numerous projects, gained a lot of insights into the method. We are teaching lots of new students, gaining better mastery of the method. We better and better understand how it works and what is really the best way to gain useful results more effectively. That's why we need this lecture today, to talk about the foundations of the method, to discuss the cultural, scientific basis of the method. We are going to talk about the pillars of the humanistic approach in general. What are those pillars for Neurographica as a method or as an art form? Let me tell you about myself first. My name is Pavel Piskarev, Neurographica method author. I'm a topographer. It's a form of interpretation of philosophical knowledge. I'm an artist, architect by education. I'm a doctor of science in psychology, professor, author. I became an author thanks to Neurographica. Neurographica itself was born almost accidentally, and after that all the publications came out. I think this is what Neurographica method lets you do. It lets you become an author of your own life. It lets you express your true potential, your deepest nature. Your interests, your education, and all the life's experiences have their value, but turning them into something productive by using a method requires some effort. And that's what Neurographica helps with. It helps your soul make that step forward. Also, as you can see, I do a lot of work and occupy certain positions in organizations and professional communities. I'm a member of an International Academy of Psychological Sciences. I'm head of the board of directors of ING, head of the Neurographica group within Professional Artists Union of Russia. As you can see, we're a form of art that's recognized by a professional community of artists. Our art, therefore, is official. It's not an obscure craft. Talking about history, as it's written in the Bible, first there was the Word. The word Neurographica itself was born first. On April 29th, 2014, Neurographica was officially born. As you can see, we recently had a 10-year anniversary of the method. It all happened on the plane. I was flying from Moscow to Israel, to Tel Aviv, and about halfway over the Black Sea, the word just came to me. Well, of course, it didn't just drop into my brain. After all, I was a candidate of science and psychology at that time, and I knew neuropsychology rather well. I was also an artist with some education and experience. That great amount of knowledge got synthesized within me, and the quintessential result was the word Neurographica itself. This word was later deciphered and described as a method. The first part of this word, neuro, means the brain. And coincidentally, our drawings do look like brain networks, if we use neuroimaging to look at the brain. There's also graphics, and by graphics we mean drawing lines, in our own special way. So the word Neurographica itself means a lot. When my plane landed in Ben Gurion Airport, I went online right away to check whether there is such a word. As it turned out, there was no such word in any of the languages, which makes sense, because then I would recognize this word as a person who's connected both to neuro and the graphics part. Finding the right word was a miracle itself. I think it is a really appropriate name, and this name has allowed us to decipher itself. In only 10 years, so much has happened. The name was only the beginning. Our algorithms, our basic principles came after that. The method is being taught in 6 languages: English, German, Russian, Ukrainian, Bulgarian, and Hebrew. But there's more. People are working in French and Spanish too. We have 5 official branches of the Institute internationally. And in general, Neurographica is presented in 38 countries of the world. I keep receiving the news about people drawing in new countries like Uganda or South Africa or New Zealand. At this point, we have more than 26,000 certified basic users. These are people who've completed the basic user course and got certified. We have more than 8,000 specialists and 2,500 instructors. Plus, there are more than 5 million people drawing Neurographica without education, without a basic user certificate, drawing intuitively, or joining free online lessons. This is what makes us unique. I don't know of any other form of art that could develop so quickly, so intensively. I don't think it demonstrates our marketing skills, at least because our institute is a non-profit organization. By definition, we are not doing this to extract profit. We are more interested in science, in education, in people. I almost said love. And that is true. Love for people, and the method is growing. In fact, our social networks do not demonstrate any sort of a large following or a huge number of members. The method is growing because our institute works a lot to stay truly deep, scientific, and fundamental. Many theories nowadays are shallow and only scratch the surface, and we strive to do something fundamental, reliable, something that will live for more than 1 year or 1 decade. I believe people will keep drawing Neurographica forever. Our mission, we define our mission this way: it is to make this planet a drawing planet. Neurographica inevitably changes the life of a person who's drawing it. So if 1 billion people on the planet will start drawing, the planet will change the quality of its existence. People will become kinder, more peaceful, more in harmony. We are dreamers in nature. Our fantasies should make life on this planet better. To my mind, if you're not trying to change the world for the better, then you are simply consuming. Any grown-up and mature person strives to change the life for the better in the accessible territory. Our territory is called the planet. By the way, there is a special star that has the name Neurographica. On the first instructor course in German in 2017, graduates of that course gave me, or rather everyone, a present, a star in the sky with special coordinates. It is included in the constellation Meta-Modern, as you can see on the screen. An interesting fact, rather symbolic and mythological. Any time now, you can turn your head up and look out there. I'm not an astrologer or an astronomer. I don't have a special cap, but I feel its nature. I feel like I understand what's happening in the sky. I think having a reference point in the sky makes it easier to live on the ground. Not everyone who looks up to the sky knows where to look. We do. Next, Neurographica is a way of saving our human abilities and our level of development. I believe that our skills and knowledge need to be rescued. Part of our evolution as humans was developing fine motor skills. We started using tools, first stones and sticks, and over time our skills with them improved. It is not only through labor that primates became more and more human. It is through precise and refined manipulation of tools that we developed. Other animals cannot do that. Birds create nests, and beavers build dams because they have that instinct. But people came up with new tools within culture and became proficient with them. Our neocortex, that part of the brain that we're proud of, the part that gives the right to call ourselves sentient beings, which is not true for everyone. Not all humans are sentient. So, neocortex was developing due to the skill of handwriting. With fine movements at the tips of our fingers, there was no finer skill than handwriting. This skill has helped humans express abstract concepts, place things that are not literally before your eyes into your consciousness, into your mind. When you write something, your consciousness can think in terms of those abstract concepts. And strangely, AI is taking over because people have abandoned handwriting. They still teach us handwriting in schools, but calligraphy is long forgotten. The name itself means beautiful handwriting. We're writing less and less. People mostly type nowadays. So, this finest skill that shaped quality of our intellect, defined by precise motions of our hands. Imagine writing those letters. It has now turned into simple motion. There's also intellectual degradation. Sociologists say that IQ is generally decreasing. Some of the public figures say it's alarming and blame it at modern young people, on human nature in general. In our opinion, our hypothesis about the reasons humans are degrading and losing to machines is that we've lost the skill of handwriting. We can say, and we can suggest that Neurographica is a form of writing, but we are not writing letters. The point is in using micro movements and fine motor skills to pack meanings and create new patterns of thinking. Neurographica is handwriting, and that's what we're doing. We are giving the skill of handwriting back to people. This way we support the struggle against machines. We work on preserving and developing human potential. These are our objectives. We want to look into the future, be more confident and calm, rather than anxious. This is what Neurographica helps us achieve, these existential tasks. It is important for me as a psychologist to see tangible results. And the fact that I can measure progress by looking at the drawing, at its quality, is extremely important. It is also important that life of the person inevitably changes after drawing. That's what people tell us, and I tend to believe them. What is Neurographica? There's a lot of definitions. It is an act of creation. Each time that we are drawing, we are actually creating. It is not just a simple drawing. Nowadays, we have an endless amount of digital images online and multiple ways to print them out. But they're machine-created images. When we are drawing, we are the creators, and creation takes place not only on the sheet of paper, it takes place in our minds, in our brains. Our personal field, our field of meanings also changes. The principle of integration, principle of unity, is a constructive principle. It is different from destructive principles that are harmful to reality. Rationality that's based on splitting apart, analyzing, exploring details, doesn't allow us to understand the whole, understand the essence. Integrative practices that are part of the Russian school of integrative psychology, that's headed by Vladimir Vasilyevich Kozlov, our scientific advisor, those integrative practices are aimed at recovering our wholeness, at integrating with the world. Neurographica is also a universal graphical code of the universe. One of the fundamental laws of Neurographica says that the world consists of circles and lines. Circles and lines resonate with each other. Imagine the circles of planets, circles of cells, circles of molecules, and lines between them. If you look at the world through a telescope or a microscope, you will see circles and lines. Of course, we can see other shapes made up of these circles and lines. Sometimes you can see it on the macro scale, on the cosmic scale, and sometimes on the microscopic scale. But they sort of look the same, and universal graphical code of the universe is real. In the story of the Tower of Babel, people had different languages and were not able to cooperate. Our languages are different, and we struggle to find peace, to coexist. However, we do have a universal graphical code. It is universal not only to humans, but to all organisms, to both animate and inanimate nature, to big and to small things. The universal law of similarity is at the basis of our method, and Neurographica is a scientific method. We have a document that confirms we are a work of science. We have our own scientific school. Being a work of science means that more than 75% of materials that we have at our school are original. They're not borrowed from elsewhere. Next, Neurographica is a method of modeling the unconscious. You can ask, what does it mean? Isn't the unconscious something that has an effect on us and something that defines us? We can remember about Carl Jung or modern scientists like Tatiana Chernigovskaya, who say that our unconscious is always ahead of us. We cannot truly know whether we want it or it's the unconscious that wants something through us. Our own accumulated experience defines our reaction to external circumstances and makes us decide. We become aware of our choices only later. So our unconscious dominates over our conscious mind, simply because it is much stronger. This is what I start my book about Neurographica with. We cannot affect our unconscious or model it by using only words. We need a special tool that will help us bypass inner control. The neurographic line helps us do that, because it is bionic in nature. We can reach our unconscious, the place where our impressions originate. Any neurographic drawing is a place where our impressions get transformed. What is a difficult choice? It means you have difficult impressions around that topic. Imagine your topic is business. Maybe you remember the 90s in the post-Soviet countries. A lot of crime and doing business is dangerous. Plus, some of your friends probably went bankrupt. It is possible that your ancestors faced repressions from communists a century ago and lost their fortunes. So there might be a collection of impressions in the unconscious that tell you, do not do business. At the same time, the rational part of your mind tells you that creating a business is the best way to capitalize your talents, to become truly self-fulfilled. And this is what we can actually do. We can transform our impressions, transform our experience reliably, in a systemic manner. We can transform our thinking and make it positive and productive. This is what Neurographica does. It models the unconscious. constructs positive impressions that drive us forward. Neurographica organizes and reorganizes neural connections. Unfortunately, it cannot be fully confirmed or disproved scientifically yet, because there are no tools that are able to do that. However, we can confirm that on the level of our senses, and we can use some of the data from equipment indirectly. Some more news: we have our own laboratory with equipment that can prove that certain areas of the brain, the ones that are activated when we are drawing, truly become more active. We have some equipment now and can do our own experiments and tests. We can see that when we move through the steps of the algorithm, different brain areas are getting activated. We can see and confirm now that closer to the end of drawing, areas of activity become rather large and spread all across the brain. We are intentionally working on our neural connections. We are performing neurosurgery without any surgeons. Our method is revolutionary in this respect, and this is one of the reasons we spread this method around as a helpful tool for everyday life. It can help with any kind of a project you're engaged in. Neurographica is a method of project facilitation. It can make any project easier. There is nothing magical or esoteric here, even though I would call myself a mystic. Neurographica is a method of project facilitation. That's what it is. You might have a project of improving relationships within your family, or a project of moving to a bigger house, or maybe a project dedicated to career advancement, or a change in your income. Any change is in fact a project. Every neurographic drawing you make in relation to a project helps you make next step in that project with more ease, in a more natural manner. When you're drawing, things start happening automatically, as if without effort. Does it help with future difficulties? Not always. We cannot count on that. But we can count on having the next step, or the next day. Another great name for Neurographica is a method of well-organized coincidences, or rather synchronicities. This concept is well described since after Carl Jung by people who study field effects. It is described in physics and morphology. Synchronicity is when meanings resonate, when images or signs resonate. When this happens, it is perceived as a miracle. Miracles, in fact, have a solid scientific basis. Next, Neurographica is a method of coaching. We call it aesthetic coaching. That's how we define our work with clients. Coaching is a professional activity that has its own criteria of quality and its own code of ethics. We define our work as aesthetic coaching, and by we, I mean a large professional community. We follow principles of humanistic psychology, and in fact, when Abraham Maslow came up with the pyramid of needs, aesthetic needs ended up really close to the top of the pyramid. The only need above it was the need for spiritual fulfillment. Aesthetic needs in this system stand between God and all the other needs. Same in life. Beauty and beautiful things bring us closer to God. Aesthetic things bring us into a state of harmony. Beauty lets us solve issues from the lower levels easier. In Neurographica aesthetic coaching, we follow aesthetic techniques, canonical rules of beauty, laws of composition. That field is rather strict. and it was defined by other scholars and other smart people. Aesthetics is what lets us solve our mundane and down to earth human issues in a beautiful way. I'm so amazed by it, by the fact that we can solve problems not by hard, rigorous labor, grinding our teeth and pushing other people back, but elegantly and beautifully. Of course, Neurographica is a method of transforming the world. Of course, it is an art style. Nobody has ever drawn like that, and it's really hard to come up with something completely new in art. Neurographic images, neurographic lines are easily recognizable. It is our style. Style that has yet to take its place in the galleries and museums. I'm working slowly, without rush, but I hope to have my first exhibition soon. I have some large artworks coming up, and it's going to be my first step into the world of big art. What else? Neurographica is a language, a science, an energy practice. I can endlessly talk about the different sides of Neurographica, but let's move on. Here are the effects it provides. First of all, Neurographica provides a stable sense of self-fulfillment. You feel self-acceptance and self-respect. Self-respect and dignity, unfortunately, are lost qualities nowadays. In the world of endless challenges that are being supplied by the internet, by our bosses at work, by the higher officials, being self-fulfilled and having self-respect is rather an exception or a trait of optimistic young people. But then you grab a marker and start drawing. Suddenly, it's working out, and more things are coming together. It seems to be working out on its own. Suddenly you realize that it's possible simply to be self-fulfilled and to have self-respect. Speaking about myself personally, I feel very young, vibrant, and a healthy young man, regardless of my age and the growing complexity of the world. I feel joy. I feel I'm progressing, not degrading. It provides me with a feeling of harmony and balance, balance with myself and other people. Neurographica allows me to harmonize and balance out all the relationships. Everything starts inside. I become able to manage my own worldview, my own feelings and reactions. So my relationships with other people inevitably become better. I'm not afraid of people. People are really nice with me, and it becomes a natural thing for every person who's drawing regularly. Your internal and your external worlds get harmonized. A balance between internal and external worlds, between the physical and the spiritual, between work and rest, between material and ideal worlds, between male and female aspects of the psyche. Opposites create contradictions and paradoxes, and a person with a marker in his hands becomes a genius who is able to reconcile those paradoxes. By drawing these contradictions, we can achieve harmony and feel aligned, feel consonant in all of our voices. We feel that nobody actually wants to fight with us, and we are in agreement with ourselves and other people. It is wonderful to be in agreement with how things are actually going. Of course, there's a decrease in conflicts for most people, even though sometimes there is resistance at first. When the method is not mastered well yet, it becomes a tool of the ego. But this is also true for anyone who lacks experience in self-transformation. Our mind is afraid of change. Our current life is reliable for the ego. It knows how things are going and how they're going to stay. You meet your neighbor and make a grumpy face. Your neighbor does the same. And you're in agreement. That's great that we didn't kill each other next to our houses. But what if I look at my neighbor with eyes full of love, or at least with a look of camaraderie? It takes courage. It takes courage to smile and to speak first when meeting strangers. It takes courage to look at people through a different lens. But this is the first major step to finding agreement with people. It is no surprise that conflicts disappear as one of the first effects of practicing Neurographica for anyone. I have to warn though, if a person is chronically in conflicts, then change is brought about by a crisis phase. When these conflicts are exacerbated, people feel intense irritation. Why should I change? Why should I become a better person? These questions usually appear in people's minds. But of course, life gets more pleasant. Life with warmth and kindness is always more pleasant. Tensions go away, and life gets pleasurable. Next effect is motivation and inspiration for life. One of the paradoxical effects, some call it a magical effect of the basic algorithm. We can use reliable methods and tools to arrive at a state of inspiration. This statement is explosive for humanitarian sciences. Inspiration is a state that can be reached by using tools and algorithms. Imagine people of all professions being inspired. Not only poets, but engineers. All the citizens feel as if they're floating on air. As it turns out, motivation comes to anyone who has reached step 4.2 of the basic algorithm, archetyping. When a conflict is solved, inspiration is a natural state of mind for a person who puts his mind to it. We offer a path to inspiration, but every person has to take it with his own hands. Inspiration is important for everyone, for bakers and for teachers. It is extremely important for mothers and fathers. Loving children when they keep distracting you from your important business takes inspiration. Caring for older people takes inspiration too. Going to work every day requires inspiration. Without inspiration, we feel despondent in life, and it is a sin. When you have excess inspiration, you're bursting with energy, and you look for ways to put it to good use. It is a natural state. We're called the Psychology of Creativity Institute. Creativity is one of the effects of Neurographica too. Since creativity is a productive activity that's born out of a state of abundance, which can be achieved by drawing. No labor at the gold mines is needed. All you need is paper and markers. In just several drawings, besides inspiration, joy, and agreement, you become creative. Your projects start coming into life. Your dreams become fulfilled. You feel inner calm. Anxieties and worries go away. Isn't anxiety and neurosis the greatest neurological threat to humanity? It might be, but not for our people, since we have happiness, calm, and a feeling of flow. These are the effects that we have. The next slides are talking about the society, the avant-garde, and the social avant-garde. It is a topic of its own, and I think I will describe it in the next video. I hope you're interested and curious to know more. This information is especially useful for specialists and instructors. I hope you're interested, and I thank you for your attention. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will be joyful, inspired, harmonious, creative, and happy. I hope we will see each other again. Keep on learning, keep on discovering, keep on drawing. I think that's everything you need to know.